let's dive into this. Now, before we go into what we're going to be talking about, right, this is really important. As I said, I've done tons of workshops. And what I'm going to give you here in the beginning is how you're going to be successful for not only the session that I'm going to go through, but all the other sessions that everyone else is going to go through. All right, so here's the very first thing. All right, if you came in here and you thought you were going to get a silver bullet, you should leave immediately. That's just not going to happen. There are no silver bullets in sales. There are no silver bullets in any of the things we're going to talk about today. So I always like to have that caveat. Number two, if you have a comment, a question, a concern, if you're like, yo, Morgan, what you're talking about makes no sense, let's talk about it. Raise your hand. Be like, hey, I want to dive deeper into that, because that's going to allow me to figure out, okay, what's going on? What can we decipher there as well? This is a conversation. Also, there will be examples throughout this presentation of what to do and also what not to do through different examples of where I've worked with multiple reps, things I've done myself to go be successful, right? And also, this is the most important thing overall. So everyone, I see everyone has their notebook. This is important to write down right here in the beginning, right? I just want you to write 3 things, right? 3 things, and this is gonna be really simple. You're just gonna write 1, 2, and 3. And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you to write 1, 2, and 3. So for doing this for quite some time, I have found that the only way you're gonna be impactful coming out of this is if you go and do 3 things. Not 10, not 100, not 1,000 things. You're only gonna do 3 things. With those 3 things, you're gonna have the most impact. Now, there may be additional things you learn that you wanna do. Put that on the side and say, hey, I'm gonna get to that after I get my 3 things done. I have found over doing these trainings that when people go execute the 3 things, they come back to their next list. Okay, boom, what's the next thing I need to do? What's the next thing I wanna do? As the human brain works, you don't wanna be overwhelmed with too much information because you're not gonna do anything. And that would be a waste of everyone's time. And we wanna make sure this is impactful. So again, that 1, 2, 3, as you take notes as you go through things, think about what that could be, take notes, but come back to that at the end to figure out how you wanna go about it. Now, let's dive into what we're gonna be learning today, right? 5 things. How to build a LinkedIn profile that converts, I think that's important, right? Engaging with the right buyers on LinkedIn, leveraging LinkedIn Sales Nav, we're gonna get very deep there, build a LinkedIn prospecting playbook, and how to manage your time on LinkedIn. So 5 things we're gonna learn. Now, let's just go over some stats, right? Just figure out like what's going on here. So when it comes to LinkedIn, right, it is a massive platform. So these are the breakdown stats. We're not going to go through every single one. But the one that stands out to me, right, is the last one. LinkedIn is a major source of influence in the buyer's journey. According to data, that's 52% of all purchases cite as their top channel for research. Now here's another interesting data point that I was reading the other day. 95% of buyers are not in motion to buy something. It's pretty high, right? 95%, right? So how do you keep people engaged? How do you keep them informed? Well, that's through LinkedIn, right? As we're gonna go through what to do and how to go about it. And so let's just dive in, right? And talk about how to build a good profile. So we're gonna go step by step. The most important thing is this headline. And most people mess this up. Now, what I'm about to say might call some of y'all in the room, so don't be upset what I'm about to say, all right? I'm gonna call some of y'all out, but I've done this myself, and then I'm gonna give you a result of when you change this. All right, so most people, right? We got SDRs in the room. Raise your hand if you're an SDR, BDR, raise your hand. Cool, shout out to the SDRs, BDRs, much love. AEs in the room, right? Cool, everyone else, raise your hand. All right, bet, all right. So the thing is, look, I'm gonna call y'all out, so don't be mad at this. I'm gonna help y'all though. So, SDRs, AEs, most people, they'll be like, yo, I'm an SDR at this company, and then that's all you put. Y'all, I've talked to a lot of buyers. No one's going on LinkedIn being like, yo, SDR at that yo, this is lit, let's connect. Like, that's never happening. So why are we doing this? This is absurd. Okay, so the thing is, I would go look at your profile right now, and if you have that, it's time to change it. Because your profile views are not gonna be there. We have buyers in the room right now that could probably speak to that, so I'm gonna call someone out. Nadia, Okay, you probably get a lot of LinkedIn requests.
I do, yeah.
And they're probably not that great.
The ones that I've seen, they're not that great. The ones that I've looked at.
She's not even seeing them. Okay, so the thing is, like, if you see someone and they're just like SDR at, and they're like, hey, it's great to connect. Notice that we both have a profile. Let's talk.
No.
That's not going to happen.
It's not.
Okay, right. And even with the headline, if you just see SDR at, and maybe it doesn't even talk about a problem that you potentially solve, like, is that even, you probably get what, 100 maybe a day, 50?
No, a week, I would say probably, 50 a week.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So you probably see SDR at, AE at on this, and that just is like noise. It's just like whatever.
Yeah, so anytime somebody connects with me and pitch slaps me right away, there's a problem.
Oh, that's an immediate no.
There's a immediate no.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I normally don't look at the headline.
Okay, interesting.
I personally don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stephanie?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So
Fully discriminate based on headline.
I'm trying to tell y'all. Okay, so the thing is, these are buyers that we're talking to, right? So the next step is, how do we change this? Before we do that, profile picture. Look, I'm not a person of design. You could probably talk to Stuart or Garrett about this. Like, this isn't my part. But y'all, look, I've seen some profiles where people got selfies on boats. They're in the dark. Like, bro, like, don't do that, all right? So, like I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Make sure you look presentable, but, you know, if you need more details, you can talk to them, but, like, look presentable, all right? But let's go into how do you create a good headline, right? So we have a formula. If you follow me for a while, I always have a formula for everything because you can't be consistent. You can't scale something without a formula, right? So this is the formula that you can implement immediately right after this, right? What are you doing, right? So how do you help your potential buyer? What are you doing? Not SDR at, no. What are you doing? What is the area of expertise in how you're helping that, right? So some people in the room might be cybersecurity, right? Maybe an automation platform. I don't know, whatever you want to do, right? Then another area of expertise, and I'm going to go back and tell you what that means. Credibility, that could be, okay, maybe you have an accolade, an award, you've done something, call that out, and then a CTA. Now this CTA could be a lot of different things. Now there's a lot of things you can do, right? You can put your link in your profile. You can say, hey, come check out the website, product, etc., whatever you want to do, but you need some type of call to action, or if you don't, that's fine. On mine, I don't, it's just there, but I'm always testing. I'm always trying new things, which goes into my additional point. When it comes to the LinkedIn profile optimization, you want to be A/B testing. So, okay, you're gonna come out of this workshop, you're like, cool, I heard you, Morgan, I need to take SDR on my headline, I got you. Try this formula and try your wording, do it for like 90 days. Because people always ask me, how long should I do it? 90 days. That's a quarter length, that's 3 months, that's enough time for you to figure out if it worked or not. If you start getting more profile views based on your connection requests, fantastic. If you're not, problem. And we're gonna talk about how to do connection requests here in a minute. So I'm gonna go back because it's important to point this out. When we talk about credibility, I have it inside of my banner essentially, but normally I have LinkedIn Top Sales Voice inside of the headline, but I just put it in the banner. I'm trying out something new, just to give you context, but that's what I'm doing, right? I'm saying, hey, what are we doing? That's the headline. I mentioned, hey, I found this company, great. Speciality, we're doing B2B media production, make it more simple. And then I have this at the end of the keynote, because it's keynote season, so it's more timely call to action. Essentially, that's what it is right now. And then that's what I'm doing. Just to give you a baseline of like, I'm following the form of what we just talked about, right? So you can take this framework, right, and start figuring out what your profile should look like. All right? But we're not done. There's more things we talked about. The about section. All right, look, y'all, it's a little bit of a novel, all right? Like, I had a lot to say, but you also don't have to do this. But I'm gonna break down what's actually important here. Now, for people in the room, it depends on what your goal is, all right? If you're just, hey, I'm in sales, I'm just trying to get meetings, you may not need this whole entire hero's journey, which is essentially what this narrative is. It's a hero's journey explaining how I got to where I'm at. You don't really have to do that if you don't want to. However, if some of you in the room are like, hey, I wanna go start my own thing, I wanna create content, you may want this hero's journey, and I would just take this framework and go and execute. But for the majority of you in the room, you only need 2 things, and most people don't do this. Most people's about section is like, hey, I have a hyper extensive experience in cybersecurity for 20 years, and I'm really good at Excel, and it's like, bro, no. So the thing is, what we wanna do is do this, all right? So what I do, make it super simple. What are you talking about, right? And I'm continuously updating these things. So these are things I talk about. These are things I'm touching on, right? And I always make sure that I'm staying in alignment of where I'm actually going. And then the core values for success. This one's extremely interesting. I've had a lot of people that I've trained, and they started putting core values of success. And when they would connect with buyers, they would mention it, be like, oh, wait, hold up. Mine actually is the ability to adjust. And they had a really good conversation about that. Now, is that going to happen every single time? No, it's not. But at least it's there, right? And that's the key point. And then I have a course on the LinkedIn creator posting strategy. So I have it in there if people want to check it out. But here, what are you going to do? Ebook. You can put a case study here. You can put anything you want, but that's the next piece. So what I do, boom, 5 points, core values, boom, I do it there. And then some type of call to action. Mine is this course here. You also could be like, hey, hit me up at the email address, and you go from there. Yes?
Is there a best practice about how long it should be? Because in some, like I'm struggling with understanding, like I try to minimize as much as possible that section. What is the best practice?
Best practice would be just 3 things. Ignore this top part. I would just do what I do, core value success, call to action. That's what I would do. Keep it super simple. All right. So we got the about section. We figured out the headline. We're doing good so far, but we need to go to the experience section. This is where most people go absolutely wrong. This is where it gets bad. So the thing is, most people don't even know that you can attach media to your experience section. Most people's sections are just blank. There's nothing there. And it's like, bro, okay, I'm out, right? Someone could be like, headline was great. Okay, profile picture, you actually look presentable. That's fantastic. Then they're like, about section, okay, this person's interesting. Then they look at the experience and like, oh, okay, well, I don't really know what's going on there. There's no case studies, there's no use cases, game over. So this is an example of what we recently done, but I'll give a backstory on this. So when I was at JB Sales, when I would do the sales training, we would always get a use case, we'd always get a case study. So what we would do is say, hey, okay, give it to us in like a quote or infographic. So we attached like 3 to 5 infographics inside of the experience. So then people would go and check out, okay, what company you work at. They saw the use cases immediately. They didn't have to go to the website. They didn't have to figure out what exactly was going on. It was right there. Again, this is how you want to convert inside of the profile itself, right? Because you don't want them to go all over the place. You want them to go right there and message you and say, hey, that's interesting. So here, prime examples, a lot of things we do are event activations, content activations, etc. So we just did an event activation here. We did a content activation here with the client, and then did another content activation on LinkedIn here. So they could click in and see what's going on right there within, you see what I did here, the different services we have. So I'm telling you what we do, and then I'm showing you immediately what's going on. Because most people, they're squirrels. All right, they're like, yo, I'm out, see you later. So we want to say boom, 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 I got you. And then we progress from there. So that's that piece on all the different things you need to do with LinkedIn profile. Now, let's take a quick pause. Does everyone feel good about their LinkedIn profile now? Or maybe you don't feel good and now you need to change it and you need to leave the session, but how does everyone feel so far? Any questions? Cool. All right, next piece, this is an interesting piece. Now, this is conflicting. When I go and talk about this, it's conflicting. Some people are like, yo, I don't believe you, da-da-da. I'm gonna go to the first point, which is the blank note. Now, what we have found is that sending a blank note actually leads to a higher acceptance rate. I know some people don't like this. They don't like this. They're like, wait, that sounds absurd. You're gonna spam people. No, we actually ran an A/B test because I wanted to actually say this in confidence. So it was 5 reps from Europe, because I wanted to make sure we vetted it out. 5 reps from Europe, 5 reps from the States, all different products. And I was a part of it, but I was like, okay, I have the brand, so like, let's get people who like, you don't even know where they are, right? And we did 50 personalized notes, 50 blank notes. Through the use case of the 10 people that we did it through, we found that the blank note had the highest acceptance rate. So I just say, hey, look, the blank note has a high acceptance rate. Now that does not mean you're gonna take this advice, go spam people, and then do pitch slaps, all right? Don't do that, all right? You didn't hear that from me. What I'm saying is the blank note has a higher acceptance rate, and we're about to tell you how you're gonna convert that here in a minute, but I wanna start with that first and then give you the other 2 examples. So we're gonna go right up to the direct note. Now this one's extremely interesting. I A/B tested this for a while. My group of people, I was like, yo, let's just test it out, let's see what happens. Now this has a lower acceptance rate. So it depends on what you're doing, your headline, profile picture. So, obviously averages and numbers can be different, but this had about like a 40% acceptance rate, right, for the blank note, on average when we tested it all out. We went to the direct note, you got about 25 to 30%, right? So it's lower, but the conversion rate for the meeting was higher. Because it's a direct note. You're telling people what's up. I'm saying, hey, this is what we do. If you're going to accept, I'm literally going to pitch you. Now, this is different. You're like, wait, what? But if someone accepts it and then you pitch, the conversion rate on the meeting was higher. Now, we actually found that this is better for people that were executives. Now, everyone, we just saw an example. Everyone is different, so you have to A/B test this. However, we found if you send this, hey, look, check this out. If you're going to accept it, hey, I'm about to slide in. I'm going to say what's up, right? They know what's going on. And so from there, now we're good. But again, I'm not saying use this every single time. This is really good with executive audience, and we found that to be really good. Now, this one, about 20%. This one basically is just giving content, right? You probably have heard give, get before, rule of reciprocity, right? Deposits, withdrawals. You probably heard this before. I'm not going to talk too much on it. But essentially, I'm just saying, hey, look, here's what we're doing. We found this out. Do you want to see the stream? Right? So we're just dropping content into them, and now we can start a dialogue and a conversation. But what am I doing here? A/B test, right? And I don't know if most of y'all know this in the room. Did you know that you can withdraw your LinkedIn connection request? All right, some people knew, some people didn't. But the thing is, like, that's a good lane as well. So what I do is I always send the blank note first, typically. Then I'll withdraw. And then from there, I'll be like, okay, maybe I can send something else to get this connect. And I've actually gotten meetings that way by reminding myself to withdraw. But again, you have about 2 to 3 weeks before you can send it again.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah, but you want to make sure, right, that you're doing it, right? Otherwise, you're going to have 1,000 pending requests, and that's not good. So now, how do you find these clues, right? Where do you go from here? Now, before we go into the next part, this is where the game changes. You got to understand how to find these clues in order to be personalized now that your profile's set. So we got our profile good. We understand what we're doing, right? We're locked in. We're sending connection requests. People are accepting us, but we have to make sure we're not doing pitch slaps, all right? That is my goal here today, all right? If any of y'all even doing pitch slaps, you didn't come to this workshop. You went somewhere else, all right? So the thing is, here are the breakdowns. Executive quotes, 10K report, hiring growth, promotions, new products, awards, mission. We read that, we understand it. Now, one of the greatest tips that I got, how many of y'all sell into public companies, enterprise, et cetera? Just show of hands. Okay, great. So for y'all, this tip is a game changer. So in a 10K report, how many of y'all actually reading a 10K report? Like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna get my coffee. I'm reading a 10K report. How many of y'all doing that? Okay, so people are. Okay, shout out to y'all. Okay, but the thing is, most people are not. So how do you get the information quickly without reading the whole entire thing if you got other things to do? We have found that the section that has the best information is called Management's Concerns and Analysis, or typically it's called Financial Management Concern or Analysis. What is going on in that section? It literally tells you what their concern is. It says, yo, we did not do well in this product. We sucked here. Here's what we're thinking about doing. Okay, so easy. So you can go in that section, go figure out what was the struggle, and then now you can send a personalized message. And we're going to show you how to do that here in a minute. So that's just something to think about, right? How do I find these clues, right? As sellers, or even you're trying to get in front of people, how do you get these clues to sell, get in front of people, get meetings, et cetera? How do you do that? And that's just one example of many. But when we go into the next phase of what I'm going to talk about, it's important to understand, what are your clues? What are you looking for? Because you can't just pull up and say, oh, I saw you, you're a marketer, and let's talk. Like, that's not going to happen. So we have to figure out what we're doing. 10K report, management's conditioned financial analysis. You can do the quick search on that. It's the best thing you can do. Promotions, also good on the careers page. Another tip for y'all. When people look at things that are hiring, they just see, oh, someone's hiring, and then that's it. Well, there's actually an extension to that. If you go and click on the careers page and click description or what they're getting hired for or what they're doing, that's another way to prospect. Hey, boom, I saw that you're getting hired to like run a campaign. Okay, you can literally talk to that. Most people just see hiring and then they leave. You got to take one more step. There's more information there as well. But these are just little tips. Most of y'all do research. But what we're really going to talk about is the next piece here, which is going into the next part, which is like, how do you engage, right? And how do you get in front of people? And how do you make sure, right, that you're going across the word that you need to go to, right? And so when you're thinking about it, right, you want to make sure that, oh, the clicker is just fading on me. It's done with me. But we want to make sure that we follow this formula. All right, this formula changes the game, all right? I don't know if some of y'all may have seen this formula from me before, but this is it. I don't know any other formula you could do to get meetings, but we have found that this is the formula for multiple clients and multiple people. And I'm gonna break this down. Now, why am I bringing up this exact 10-30-10? What are we talking about here? So, as I was doing voice notes and as I was doing videos, I made over 10,000 videos. It's a lot of videos. It's a lot of staring at a screen. I don't recommend it, but it's a lot. So, thing is, 10,000 videos. So over time, first videos were absolutely awful. I don't know if we'll probably never share those, but they're terrible. But the thing is, the next step on this is what is actually going to get someone's attention? So I started doing some research. And I was like, what are the most successful movie trailers in the world? Because if you think about this, your prospecting message is a movie trailer. And most people treat it like a movie. They're like, yo, we have this product, we do this. This is our history. We started in 1980, and then we came across the sea, and then our founder did this. I'm like, what, bro? No one cares. So the thing is, we have to figure out how do we actually have the movie trailer, right, to get people engaged. So it's not a movie, it's a movie trailer. And that's why I came up with 10-30-10, because the most successful movie trailers are on average 55 to 80 seconds. So I was like, okay, how do we distill that down and make it for prospecting or getting meetings on LinkedIn or having conversations? And it came down to this. So Optima, you can go look at the data. Video has this data. It's all over the place. It says, hey, 45 to 60 seconds is optimally the best time frame for you to do a voice note and also do a video. If you really start getting good, you want to get to 35 seconds. I do about 30 to 35 seconds, but it just helps you get more concise. But if you start out, 45 to 60. Now here's the framework that we follow. Again, I told you I got formulas everywhere, and here's the one. So the first part is the first 10 seconds, right? 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 10 seconds. The first 10 seconds is the reason for my video. This is where most people fail. They say, hey, yeah, my name is Morgan. I'm at this company, and yeah, I just wanted to reach out and just wanted to say what's up. You just wasted 8 seconds. No one needs, this is a couple key things. No one needs to know what your name is because it's in your LinkedIn profile. So they don't need to know that. Just go in, right? Second thing is they don't need a company because it doesn't matter yet. We have to show what is important to them. So that's why I'm coming in with the reason for my video is, and then we got to go back to the clue that we talked about. What is that clue that you're going to give them to show them that you were paying attention, right? So the reason for my video is, you go into it, etc. Next piece, attention grabber or the value prop. So the key thing here, right, from the persona standpoint, is you want to talk about how you can help this person. Now, the easiest thing that you can do is look at it from a cold calling standpoint, right? Yeah, it's no. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's off. All right, great. Yeah, cool. All right, thank you. All right, cool, we're back. All right, so the thing is, the 30 seconds, don't overthink this, take it from the email. Take it from your cold call. You don't have to do anything crazy here. You've already done it, and you're just gonna say it out loud. And the last 10 seconds, interest call to action, we've heard of this before, nothing crazy. Are you open to learning more? Another one that we've seen to be very successful is, would you be open to a deeper dialogue? I prefer that one, but do whatever you want. But it's just an interest call to action. We're not going in too deep. So again, what's the reason that we're doing the video or the voice note? What's the reason that we're doing the value prop? Why? What are we calling them to? Like, why does it matter? And if you follow this 10-30-10, it allows you to execute faster and not overthink it. How many of you in this room have sent a prospecting or sales video before? Show of hands. Okay, cool. How many, when you did your first video, you did it like 10 times? You're like, yo, I don't know about this. Right, okay, so this happens. So the goal is that because there's no formula, there's no framework. I was like all over this. I didn't know what I was doing. And so when I was like, hey, this framework just makes it easier. You just follow these steps and you send it out. This is also important. If some of you in this room want to do creative prospecting, right? You want to do things a little differently on LinkedIn, and you're like, cool, I'm going to go this video, I'm going to do this voice note. The rule of 3 is important for you to write down, which means after you've done your video the 3rd time, you're trying to do the 4th time, just send the 3rd one, unless you completely messed it up. But the thing is, 3 times, you're most likely good. The whole goal of the video, right, is to just show that you're human, right? It shows that what you're about, and that's what we want to do. So let's go into actual real examples. So shout out, we're using Garrett as an example here because we have a message. So Garrett, I don't know why we're not friends, but here we go. As you see, how do you actually do this, right? Because people are like, oh, that sounds sick, but what do I do? So let's go back to what I said. The blank note, right, the connection request is how we're going to get people to accept, right? That's the key. Now that we've got them accept, now we're deciding what we're going to do. We're not going to pitch slap, right? We're going to do something creative here. So inside of the mobile app, this is the only way that it works. There's a little mic button, you click it, and then you can hold down to send a voice note. Now, here's the important thing. Two things is one, once you do the voice note, you can't listen to it. So you better be on point. All right? You can't listen to it, so you better sound good, right? Two is 60 seconds. So again, it goes back to the framework. So if you're not following the framework and you go over 60 seconds, it's literally just gonna cut out on you. And like, that ain't it. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to focus on how do you keep it concise, and then how do we make sure that you know that you're not gonna be able to listen to it. Now, what is that stuff on the right? What is going on there? So I ran an A/B test. Now, granted, yes, I have a brand, people know who I am, etc. I get it. But I wanted just to run a test, and I was like, okay, let's see what we can do here. So I did this about a couple months ago. I sent 125 voice notes. No, I didn't send them all in one day. That would be crazy. But I did do them, right? I did about 5 to 10 a day, nothing insane. And I got 50 responses, 25 meetings, right? So it's a good conversion, and it's about like 40%. So the thing is, if you're looking at this, right, this is a way you can stand out. I'm not saying everyone's gonna do this. However, I have had clients who've gotten 50, 60, 40, depending on what they're doing and what they're selling. So that's a really key point. I'm just showing you the framework. Now, let's go into actually it being done. So I always like showing this voice note because here's the possibility of what can happen. All right? Most people, this has been out for a while. Most people still don't even know that this exists. People don't even know, some people don't know that voice notes exist, especially in certain industries. They're gonna think you're an alien. So the thing is, this first line is all I need y'all to see, right? This is the first time I've seen this. And that is the purpose, right, of what we're talking about. How to be innovative, how to be different, or I like to say break through the noise. It's the first time you've seen this, right? Now, do the mutual connections help? Yes. So I'm gonna give you all a tip. For all sellers in the room, if you're not doing this, this is the game changer. So I did this as an SDR before I created content, before anything. And I try to figure out how do I get mutual connections with an executive, and I don't have like an executive network. So what I did, right, is I would connect with sales reps in the company. So what that does is it creates an effect, right? It creates a network because I have, 5, 10, 15 people I'm connected with. And like, yo, hold up, why am I not connected with this person, right? It creates that commonality. If you're trying to connect with someone and they have 0 mutual connections, they ain't probably connecting with you. But 15, 20, okay, what's this person about? So, 108, that's pretty insane. But the whole thing is giving you context. How can you start this journey? Start connecting with other sales reps. That's an easy way to get in, right? You could have conversations there. You could do a bottom solo approach. You can even reach out and say, hey, what's going on in the org? That's a way you can start getting connections, and you go from there, right? And he introed this guy in the conversation, which was great, but that just shows you an example of success. But it's not just me, all right? I've done this training before. Some people are like, yo, it only works with sales and marketing people. That's not true. This is cybersecurity. I don't know if y'all prospect cybersecurity. That ain't easy, all right? So the thing is, boom, they got a response here off of the voice note. Now, let me tell y'all something that's really, really intriguing, and this is where most people fail when they're prospecting strategy with LinkedIn. They send a voice note, they send a video, and they're like, yo, Morgan, this don't work. I'm like, okay, did you follow up? And they're like, no, I didn't follow up. I was like, okay, well, that's a huge issue, right? So we got to figure that out. So most people, when they follow up, they do this absolutely wrong. They'll be like, and maybe some of this room do it, but I've just found that it's not as effective. They'll be like, yo, bump us back up to the top. Okay, y'all laugh, y'all know that's not it, right? That's not it. Okay, the another one is like, hey, like any updates on what I sent? Did you get my email? No, I didn't, so I didn't respond. So the thing is, what do we do? People love to give feedback, right? Think about it. Why do we have reviews? Why do we have ratings? People love to give their insight. They love to give feedback. So what we have found on like a 45% clip, I'm not saying it happens all the time, but that's on average. We found that when you say, hey, any feedback on my voice message, we get responses, right? So I'll send the voice note, boom, here we go. We ask for any feedback, and then they get a response. Now, you want to make sure when you do this, because write this down, because some of you in your head right now are being like, okay, Morgan, when do I do it? 3 days is what we found. 3 days. Now, if you're feeling aggressive, you can do 2. You didn't hear that from me. But 3 days, right, is typically what you want to aim for. Give it some room. You got to give it some breathing, right? Because at the end of the day, like, it's a voice or a video. It may take them a little bit more effort to do it, but it will stand out in the inbox, and they will get back to you at some point. But if they don't, 3 days, boom, we're going to ask for any feedback to get in front of these individuals, right? So that's that case there. But again, I'm just going through examples. So what we have here as well, right, is another example with the response. So you have that piece as well, right? And then we're going to go to the videos. Now, with the videos, it's the same exact format. You'll see it took longer to do this one because the video does take a little bit longer, right, than a voice note. You could do a voice note as you're walking through the street, right? I mean, you can do a video in the street. I don't recommend it. But the whole thing is the voice note's easier. Video takes a little bit longer, but we can still get the responses. You'll see we have gear back here. And then how you get there is you're going to click this little clip. And then boom, it says take a video. Now, what I do recommend is there's a lot of different ways to do this. You can just do the video on your phone and then just upload it, or you can do something like a video art and upload it. Those are different options you can have, but I'm just showing you if you just wanted to upload it via mobile, that's how you do it. Now, as we go into this, let's show some actual examples here. So this is me, and I'm showing you all this for a reason, all right? This is the #1 mistake people make when they make videos. I want y'all to know something. I'm smiling. All right? Why is this important? When I do trainings, people make a video and they're like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, bro, I'm asleep. So your prospect's probably asleep. So the thing is, you want to make sure that you're smiling when you're doing this. Now, you make it a natural smile, make it engaging, right? Big piece on this, right? Even if you look at YouTube and why people click through, it's due to the thumbnail. Now you can make it crazier if you want to, but I always just tell people, make sure that you look approachable, right? With a smile of some sort, right? Don't look like you're about to rob them or something of that nature, right? I've seen some crazy videos. They're like in the dark, like, hey, what's up? I want a meeting with you. Like, no one's gonna do that, all right? Like people are wild. So you just wanna make sure that you're smiling, all right? This is important, write this down. Make sure you're smiling, all right? Some of y'all are gonna come out of here and look like someone, you're just trying to rob somebody, no. So make sure that you're smiling. And then here's something I'm going to call out that we didn't see in the voice note section because I started changing a little bit. So I added in context to the video. Why? Why would I do that? Okay, so how many of y'all watch Netflix? Show of hands. How many of y'all on Netflix? Y'all got a Netflix account? Okay, cool. We got some Netflix. We got Netflix. Okay, so the thing is, Netflix shows, unless you got a referral, right? And you say, go check out the show. They have a description of what it's about. Imagine if it was just like a video and it didn't tell you what it was about, or the episode. You'd be like, I don't know about this, right? So when we send a video, we want to describe what is going to happen here. Now notice how I keep it pretty vague. And I've tried out a couple things, but I say, hey, I made a quick video, and again, clue. I dropped a clue on this person, right? And I said, hey, would you be opposed to watching this? So I use that reverse piece, but you can do whatever you want. But I'm calling it to the video. What most people do is say, hey, I sent you a video. Do you have 30 minutes to chat? That makes no sense because I'm not going to watch the video because I already know what you want. I'm just saying, hey, this is something I noticed. Check out the video. So now you have to check this out based on what I said. We want them to click the video. We don't want them to say, oh, 30 minutes, they're going to bounce. We don't want that. And then on the right, same thing, right? I'm saying, hey, made a quick video. I saw this. Check out the video, right? Boom, and we got responses. So this led to a response that didn't get a meeting, and this got a meeting here, and that actually ended up being a closed deal there. So the thing is, we've actually found that through these videos, you get great engagement. Now, can y'all read this? Oh, some people can't. Okay, so okay, this is why I did this. So some people are like, yo, this only works in the States, all right? This doesn't work international. This doesn't work anywhere else. And I always show this and be like, nah. It works in other countries, all right? So some people are like, oh, my buyer persona wouldn't vibe with this, geographic things. I'm telling y'all, this works all over the board, right? So this is just an example. To be transparent with y'all, I can't read this, but they told me they got a meeting, so we're gonna go with that, all right? So the next thing, right, is once we do this, we really wanna dive into another example. So shout out to Lewis here. He's actually out of the UK. So I bring global examples to show you that video is not just in one state, one province. This is a global thing. And so check this out. Right here, he goes a little bit over, but he's still doing the follow-up and he's still getting the response. So I'm just showing y'all, make sure that you follow up on these videos. Don't just leave it to waste. You don't want to do that. That's not where you want to be. And then also as well, what did my boy Andrew do? What did he do well? Smiling, short video, boom. He hit all the points, went a little bit over, fine. Still got the meeting, dropped it, boom. And also, again, another example, this is cybersecurity. So I have a lot of cybersecurity examples because this is still can be done across the board, no matter what you're doing, all right? So when we think about the video messaging, voice messaging, I don't really care what you're doing. 10, 30, 10 is the lane, and that's how we're gonna go about it. You have a question? Hey, how you doing, man? Oh, okay. So this, that's a hot take here. So so when I started doing videos in late 2016, early 2017, yo, when you do the whiteboard, it was hot. People were like, yo, what is this? Right? Game changer. Now people are like, I don't know about this. Right? Like, it's just not it. So I think it's one of those things where there's always things in a moment in time. So if we went back in time and I told you this, I'd be like, yo, this is heat. Now it's definitely cooling way off. This is like freezer level, right? So the whole goal now, what I would tell you is when you're doing a thumbnail, there's a thing called Big. It's like just BIG, something you can download, you can put on your phone, and literally you can type in the person's words, and you can like do like it on your phone. You can go to the thumbnail, you can put their name, etc. It's not a whiteboard. It's different. It's unique. It can stand out, right? Then the other thing that you can do, right, is you can always go inside of Canva. Now, look, I'm not a design expert. Canva makes me look somewhat good. And you can go in there and put that person's picture, right? And say, hey, made a video for you. Here's a couple things that I saw, right? So you can actually insert the thumbnail in most softwares from a download, a PNG, whatever, and then you put it inside of that as a thumbnail. Again, we have to think about this, and I know will dive super deep into this, is when you're thinking about like a video, it's all about really the thumbnail, right? And the click-through rate. So if you think about everyone else is doing a whiteboard video, that's probably something you should not do, right? And you have to think about how can I be different? Canva is a good enough example where I'm not gonna be like, hey, do the same exact thing. You can go in Canva and make something special, right? And do that as well. And so that's what I would say there. But if you don't have that, I always found that the smile, the wave is a good way of going about it. Just like Andrew did here, if you don't want to go into Canva, etc. If I were to answer your question deeper, another good point is for certain executives, I'm going to take this certain extra step, right? If it's like a tier 2, right, I'm probably not going to do that. But maybe tier 1, I'm trying to get in this account, I'm going to take that extra effort. Yeah.
That one, I saw a clip with the website on a different video. Yours didn't have timestamps.
Mm.
You A/B tested them when the time shows. Do people listen to them more or respond?
Oh, fantastic question. So I've actually found that when there is a timestamp, it's easier because I don't have to call it out. So in some videos, when it's not there, right, they may think it's automatically gonna be a long video. But if the timestamp's there and it's not, I mean, look, if it's 4 minutes, you already lost. Like you're not gonna get it anyways. But if it's like 53 seconds, 40 seconds, okay, bet, we're good, right? And so they're probably gonna go check that out. So it just adds a frame of reference so they know what they're getting themselves into. Because most people, when they see a video, they immediately think it's just gonna be like,
Because when I saw the other one that said Salesforce.
right. Oh, 100%, 100%. And that's why, like, over time, as we A/B tested, when it's like, okay, whoa, there's no context here, that person's not going to engage. They're not going to do what they need to do, right? And so, like, that's the big piece, a part of it as well. Yeah.
Like, for example, age, gender, race, like I imagine it would be really different.
That's a good question. I think overall, you have to think about the demographics, right? If you think about demographics in certain regions, in certain places, like that's just how it's going to be. So, for example, like even with language, right? I don't know if anyone is from here from London, but I'll give you an example, right? There's a rep that I worked with from London. He calls the States and he absolutely kills it, right? Because someone's like, oh my God, the accent, oh my goodness, right? So y'all know how it is. So the thing is, like, it's the same way, right? It's just how people engage, interact. It's just how we're gonna engage with someone when we see them. There's always first instincts of like, oh, that person look like this, they look like that. So yeah, does it play a factor? Sure, but I wouldn't let it deter you from like doing it and executing it. Yeah, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about scalability with video? And since video is so time consuming, how do you prioritize your top 10% of accounts?
Yeah.
Decide
Okay, first point, controversial take. If you think about video and scalability, that's where most people go wrong. The point is that if you're trying to scale it and continuously do that, that's why most people don't do it. That's why you should do it. Because most people are like, oh, how do I scale this? How to do it? And then they create some deep fake video. They're not good, right? And they're just like, yo, you literally sound like you're from iRobot. This is not it, right? And so I recommend not to do that. What I recommend is time management. This is where most people go absolutely wrong. And we're going to talk about it later, but we're going to right now is this is actually super simple math. I broke this down to a rep. He ended up hitting like 300% of his quota just by following these easy steps. These are not difficult. What I'm gonna tell you is like not earth shattering, but like this is how people win. This is how when I work with top reps, this is how they completely just take it to the next level. Okay, so let's break it down. Let's keep it super simple. You did 5 videos a day. to 5 contacts and it's personalized, right? You're not scaling out anything crazy. So 5 times 5 is 25. You do 25 personal videos a week. You block out 45 minutes at the beginning of your morning, afternoon, I don't care when you do it. Each video is going to take you approximately 8 to 9 minutes to make. If you make a 45-second video, if you start out, it'll probably take you 8 to 9 minutes. Maybe a little bit longer, but you'll be able to get it within an hour at the minimum. So you do 25 times 4, it's 100. Now, you send out 100 videos in a month. It's pretty good, right? Most people not even getting even close to that. Now, if you sent out 100 videos, let's just say bare minimum, right? To keep the math super simple, you converted that response at a 10%. So that's 10. Let's just say half those people said yes. That's 5 meetings, all right? And that took you 45 minutes of work, right? And then so you do 5 times 3 in a quarter, you got 15 meetings, right? And again, these are quality accounts. So I'm only focusing really on the tier 1s. So I got 15 quality accounts that probably have higher pipeline attribution, bigger deal size, people I want to talk to. Also, if you dig into the data as well, you can go look this up, that the sales cycle for video is actually faster. So that also plays into your factors as well, right? And so when I hear people say scalability, I'm like, well, okay, you can do that, but you're actually going to derail yourself. You should just focus on like the consistency of that. If you do 5 videos a day for the entire year, you're going to smoke everybody, period. But it's like, are you willing to do that every single day? And then that becomes a completely different conversation, right? But that's how I tell people to do it. Like, that is scalability. You're just doing it every single day, but you're not just cranking out 200 videos, which feels good, but it's not going to feel good when no one responds. So that's how I tell people to feel about it. Cool. All right, one last question, then we'll continue. How much video is too much video? You should do video all the time. No, I'm kidding. So when you think about this, it's taking a step back, and I'd look at, let's historicals, the past 6 months. So everyone here probably has a CRM or some way that they log information. So essentially you can look at every single deal, and then I find out within that deal, who's the person that we talk to that expedites our sales cycle. So for example, okay, when I was in training, it was like the VP of enablement. When I do it today, it's like the CMO. So I know that's the person that I need to get in front of because it increases the velocity of the deal. I need to get to that person ASAP. So then what I do is say, okay, within this contact, within this account, that's the person I'm most likely to send the video. Now we have 3 variables when we send a video. So this is a good question. So if you want to send the videos, I write this down. These are 3 variables that we look at. Number 1 is we do it approximately within the 4th or 5th touch. I say 4th or 5th because some people like to do, 2 cold calls in a day. I'm not recommending that, but like it depends on your face, but it depends on what you want to do, right? So 4th or 5th touch. The second variable is when they connect with us on LinkedIn, I wait 2 days and then I send them a video or a voice note. I want to be able to engage with someone in some form or fashion with video and voice note when they connect with me so they know what's up. Most people aren't doing this, so I know automatically I'm going to stand out. The third one, this is my favorite play. And we're about to go into this piece here in a minute. My favorite play is in any sales engagement tool. They get like 2 views, 3 views, etc. And most people, they get really excited. They're like, oh, I got some views. And then they just move on. Big mistake. Now, you could call this person, but they may not answer. So what we did is we called it just a simple thing, the video cadence. What am I talking about? If someone has viewed an email 3 times, there's somewhat of an interest, right? Somewhat of an interest. But maybe they got pulled into a meeting, something happened, they moved on. So what we did is we sent them a personalized, we moved them out of whatever they were in, and then we sent them a personalized video inside of a new cadence. And we'd be like, hey, boom, we would just like expedite our research, or you literally could just take an email you sent and just say the same thing because they probably didn't see it. And so I'm just saying, hey, here's the reason for the video, here's the value prop, here's the call to action. Super, super simple. And we found that across the team and other people I talked to, average of like 68% open rate and like a 25% reply rate. Pretty solid. So the thing is, that's what I want to be able to do. If I know someone's opening up this email like 3 or 4 times, I need to get in front of them. I don't need to let that go by the wayside. That's going to be a complete waste of my time. So the next step is, how do I get in front of them? Boom, I'm going to send this video. I'm going to do that. And so they engage, they respond, etc. All those things.